Previously on Flip Through Friday, The Forgetting Room by Nick Bantock, which followed on from his previous trilogy, Griffin and Sabine, An Extraordinary Correspondence, which included postcards, letters, and so on. The sequel, Sabine's Notebook, in which the extraordinary correspondence of Griffin and Sabine continues, and The Golden Mean, in which the extraordinary correspondence of Griffin and Sabine concludes. And then recently I was reminded that in the 1990s, if there was something mildly popular, somewhat popular, such as the Griffin and Sabine series, there would inevitably be a parody of that thing. And so I got my hands on Sheldon and Mrs Levine, An Excruciating Correspondence, a parody by Sam Bobrick and Julie Stein. Sam Bobrick was a playwright. He is no longer with us. He died at the age of 82 several years ago, so he had a long and happy life. Julie Stein was his second wife, and they wrote a couple of plays together. I don't know what else she did. He was a playwright who also wrote a lot for television, who found that writing for television helped subsidize his playwriting. He said considered the television to be kind of a scholarship. He got money from writing for TV, and then he could spend time on the theater, which was less lucrative, but personally fulfilling. He wrote, during the 60s, he wrote for a lot of TV shows like Bewitched. I think he wrote for Gilligan's Island and that kind of lot of comedy. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, he actually created Saved by the Bell. So I think there's a certain generation who would be familiar with his work from that. Well, he and his wife, Julie Stein, who, like I said, collaborated on a couple of plays, decided to write Sheldon and Mrs Levine, or Levine, An Excruciating Correspondence, as a sort of parody response to the Griffin and Sabine books. So they have the same sort of interactive element. It's just played for laughs. And this is what it looks like behind the dust jacket. It's plain. The end papers are... They look like these are pockets, but they're not. It's just printed, and you have these coffee rings, and I kind of like that touch. And oops, there we go. So, because that's frequently what happens to correspondence and paperwork when it's, especially when we used to write letters as a matter of course, and you just had all these papers kicking around. Anyway, so here we have. This is from Price Stern Sloan, Los Angeles, and it was published in 1994. And you can see we have this bat to suggest that maybe things are going to get a little bit weird here. And so we have this. This is Mrs. Doris Levine of New Rochelle, New York, is actually, as we find out, is Sheldon's mother. And so she's sending him a letter, care of the Missing Persons Bureau in Los Angeles, because she's like, where are you? I don't know. And he moved to California and she hasn't heard from him. And she's like, call me collect, which was like a thing we used to say to people. Like, we want to hear from you, even if it costs us more. And then he wrote back to her with this card that has a spider on it. And he explains that because she reported a little drawing of a goblin or a devil, and that because she wrote to the LAPD missing persons, they broke down his door. And then she continues to write to him because he won't give her address. And then it goes back and forth between them. It's this kind of like, busybody mother and this withdrawing son. And the story develops from there. And you have these little P.S. I worry about your drawings. It seems you have a very dark side. And he responds with like these snakes. And so she's writing him these letters with butterflies and things on them, and he's writing back with other things. Oh, the Elvis stamp. By the way, first class postage was 29 cents when they made this. This was a real stamp that existed on planet Earth. The joke going around was, but you're not supposed to have a living person on a stamp, because a lot of people were convinced Elvis Presley was still alive, and you'd see a grainy video footage of him in like not a post office, in like a gas station or something. Now here we actually do have something that can be folded out. This is Sheldon being, roses are red, violets are blue. I get sick just thinking of you. So it goes back and forth. And you can see her response there. And then she sends him a birthday card. Like, yeah. I looked all over for the right one. And then she is threatening to come visit him, even though he hasn't shared his address. You can talk about how she broke up his marriage, and that's pretty much why he's upset with her. But you get the feeling it was a culmination of a long life of her being interfering. And somebody broke into his apartment. We have another fold-out letter. It's just very beautiful, and all it says is, "Dear us, so what? Love M." Sam Stein and Julie Bobrick, excuse me, it was Sam Bobrick and Julie Stein, when they, one of the plays they wrote together was a play adaptation of Sheldon and Mrs Levine, which I haven't read. Might be kind of fun. He changes his name to Basil Rathbone. And then there's escalating. More bats. And then he moves to Atlanta and calls himself Miss Scarlett O'Hara. And this is where you get into the point in Griffin and Sabine where they're like, what's going on? Are we possessed? Is it an alternate universe? What's going on? And this is like the same thing, only applied to a mother-son relationship. And she starts to get sort of more spiritually enlightened. And it all just leads to more questions. Anyway, this is like very fun. It says more will be revealed. I don't know if that happened in the play, but they didn't write a book follow-up. The play was a 2-act play, so it wasn't super long, but it was long enough that they could have fleshed out the story a little bit. Might have been a little bit of a parody of love letters thrown in. So I think this is going to be the conclusion of my Griffin and Sabine and related works, but I keep saying that and then more stuff comes into my life, so who knows, because he did write, Nick Bantock did write other books besides the Forgetting Room and Griffin and Sabine, so I'll see if anything comes into my life and maybe do another video about that. So thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, subscribe, or don't. I am not the boss of you, and I hope you have a good day or night.